Good morning, traders. It's Monday morning. Just finished watching the coffee video with Bueller and Bob, and I'm going to come on here. We're going to discuss today ratio variance. This is, again, Comic Book University for newer collectors and also for some of the more seasoned guys as well. Going to give it a few minutes and see if we can get some people in on the chat while I get set up here. Ratio variants are an interesting part of what it is that we do. So what a ratio variant is comic book companies will produce their books. Get a little organized here. Good morning, Marvin. How are we doing? I got your package in. I appreciate it. I'm getting the poster. It's in the press right now. I'm going to get it matted and framed, and we're going to hang it up in the cave here. Very much appreciated. I ordered. Oh, I should have. I'm not even sure I put the package. It's been a long, hard weekend. I was running behind on getting Dungeons and Dragons set up. So kind of whipped through my package from Marvin real quick. Where did I set those down at? This is what happens when you get a few years on you, folks. All right. So I'm going to use this as our first example. So what a comic book company will do is they will produce so many books. In a book that's highly popular, like a Venom, or a great example of the ratio variant phenomenon is, of course, the Keanu Reeves book that just came out, Berserker. Most shops ordered 1,000 books. Not that they would sell through 1,000 books, but because at that, if you order 1,000 books, they had one that was a 1 in 1,000 option available. So they would order 1,000 books, and with that came every ratio variant from 1,000 on down. So for every 10 books bought, you get a 1 in 10 ratio variant. For every 25 books, you get one of the 1 in 25. So if you order 25, you get a 1 in 10, you get a 1 in 25. And they had ratio variant breaks at 50, 100, 250, 500, and 1,000. So, and the way that works out, of course, is for if you order 1,000, you get the 1 in 1,000 signed Keanu Reeves book. Plus, you get 2 of the 1 in 500. You get 4 of the 1 in 250, so on and so forth. And I'm going to kind of show this off. I was really excited when I read the book. Marvin, you've done a fantastic job putting together a world that's very interesting and not preachy, which we seem to get a lot in comic books nowadays. But it's an interesting story with in-depth characters, and I can't wait to see where you take off with it. But we've got The Edge, issue number 1, and this is by our own Marvin Wynn. And it's a great book, so if you haven't got it, I'm pretty sure we've all picked them up by now, but if you haven't got it, we do have them in stock. You can contact me, contact Marvin, of course. If you're seeing this, contact Marvin, because he makes a little bit more on the books, and it helps keep the flow of books going. So this is the regular cover for the book. And then we have a 1 in 10 ratio variant. So, I mean, on this book, it's not real easy to tell. The only difference is the 1 in 10 ratio is a variant. It's a virgin, so there's no writing on the cover. It's just the phenomenal artwork for the book. And I got a few other examples here, of course. The reason that we're discussing ratio variance is I've heard newer comic book collectors come into groups and ask about ratios and whatnot. And the question is, why do they cost more? Well, basically, the reasoning, the thought process behind that is you have to buy 10 to get a 1 in 10. So we're going to take a look at, bring up the coverprice.com. Star Wars Adventures #1. And I don't know what the numbers are on these books. I'm just throwing these up there. I grabbed a handful of books and thought we'd take a look at them. So Star Wars Adventures, or Star Wars High Republic Adventures #1, published by IDW for Disney. Average sell on this book is $3.86, trending upward. Last sell $5. So pretty respectable. We go down here to the variants, and we got this super cool RI. I believe this was a 1 in 10. Yes, it's a 1 in 10 Yoda cover, and that's at $15.66. So right away, you notice there's an obvious difference in price and perceived value for the book. And the reason is, in order to get one of these, my shop had to order 10 of the A cover. Typically, what a shop will do is they will mark these books at whatever that ratio value is. So on release day, you can usually see a 1 in 10 going for about $10. My shop does a little bit less than that, about 20%. I think he marks all of his 1 in 10s at $8, which basically for a comic book shop of his size is tripling his investment. So by selling a 1 in 10 for $8, he pays for 3 books that way. So 3 out of the 10 are paid for when he sells this. And that just helps keep the lights on and helps the shop do its thing. You see that kind of follow the trend all the way down. Sorry, I got some dry mouth going on today. So 1 in 25s are typically $20 to $25. 1 in 50s are normally about $40, and then 1 in 100s $80 to $100, so on and so forth. And then we also see books that come on a lot stronger. Let's take a look at this one real quick. So this is a book that came out not too long ago, Spider Shadow. This is the Spider-Man What If. Let's see. Spider-Man. If I could spell spider, well, see, this is why they don't let old men touch type. All right, Spider-Man Spider Shadow, which I think is a super cool A cover. I dig that A cover on this book. So cover price on this is $4.99. Right now, $4.99 is the value of that A cover. And then we look at this one, which is a 1 in 25, I believe. It's a 1 in 10 at $12.84. And trending down a little bit. So it'll be across the board. I very seldomly see ratio variants that trend lower than cover price. And this is from back in last summer, Dark Knight's Death Metal. Do another one here. Issue number 4. So DC's ratio variant game is pretty strong. They do quite a few on their bad titles and whatnot. Dark Knight's Death Metal issue number 4, $9.98, and this is on a $5 cover price, so it's about doubled in value over the course of the last year. It was a real popular run, and it is a great read. But this particular book is this one. This is the black and white. It's a 1 in, I thought it was a 1 in 100. It might be a 1 in 50. Currently at 36.66, trending up just a smidge. This book was $80 at one point. I believe it was a 1 in 50, and it came out really heavy. So that's a very cool cover on that one. Of course, it's the black and white sketch ones. Most of DC's Bat titles have been doing these black and white sketch, and I'm not a huge fan of those, but there have been some pretty cool ones. But my take on this whole ratio variant thing is they're obviously going to be worth more. They have a smaller print run, and so that's going to drive the price. Of course, character, story, popularity of the book, things like that are going to play into it. Store damages always play into it. If you get a ratio variant that's 1 in 10, but 9 out of 10 of those come in damaged, it's going to drive the value of that book up. But it's important to note that that a lot of the time we get things like this. The next few, these are some really cool. This is Death Metal Speed Metal, issue number 1. This, I'm not sure what the ratio was on this one. I believe it's 1 in 25. What happens is they do, well, that was bizarre. Speed Metal. And of course, Speed Metal, having to do with the Flash. This is your A cover for the book. Really cool cover there. But this is your ratio variant for the book, a 1 in 25. Right now valued at about $20 on an average. But a lot of these will have art that's different than that original cover, and that really helps to drive the value of the book. They'll put a more popular artist on. This, of course, is Peach Momoko, and that was the height of her popularity. So putting her on a book, especially a main title like that, really drives the value. And a lot of the time they are put out there for the cover buy. Looking at this, Comic Issue says, I'm not a huge fan of ratio variants. Covers are usually pretty cool, but I don't go seeking them out. If what you're doing is just reading your books, then of course it's not going to matter whether you get an A cover, ratio cover, or anything in between, or even a digital for that matter. And a lot of people feel that way. I myself, I pick up ratios for 2 different reasons. I pick up ratios because I like the artwork. I really like that Peach Momoko cover that I was just showing, the Speed Metal. Some of the Spider-Man covers that they did last summer, that the 1 in 10s that had the Green Goblin in the symbiote Spider-Man stuff, that was really cool. So I grabbed those for cover buys. A lot of the time, that's what you find is those ratio variants are strictly cover buys. And that's a market that's huge, the cover buy market, because you have ratio variants, you've got store variants in there as well. And now you've got places like Bob and Bueller and pop culture philosophers getting into it. So as far as cover buys, there's a lot out there for people that just buy cool books for the cover. So that's a completely different animal, and another reason to buy these books. I am a sucker for a good cover, and this is one that hit some popularity not too long ago. Amazing Spider-Man number 24. This is the A cover on that. It's actually a super cool A cover. I really like that one. And then this one, with raw comic sales hitting an average of $400, like that one is really just kind of taken off. And it was really interesting because these were found randomly packed in Walmart 3-packs. So there's no telling where you're going to pick these ratios up at. And as we're talking about store variants, things like that, store variants really are their own type of ratio variant, right? So I know that the guys over at Hive Comics, I know what their print runs run. They're usually around 500 books. On some of the bigger titles, they bump that up to 1,500, something like that, for the Spider-Man stuff, the joint stuff that they do with the Nerd Store or Brain Dead. But still significantly less than their original run. I don't know what the run was on like Bueller's Blowtorch or the exclusive he did with Bob, but they were significantly fewer books than what the main print run was. On those, with indie titles, you're generally looking at 1-5 or 1-10 ratio. So they are really ratio variants like the open order ratio variants to some extent, and hold that type of value as well. For me, my favorites are always, I really like the Star Trek ones. And that's a good example of your RIs or ratio variants not really holding the value. I do a lot of kind of older sci-fi stuff. I have in my pull box, I have Star Trek. I've got the Blade Runner stuff. I've got Firefly. All of those do the ratio variants, and because of the subject matter, they're not written by Donny Cates and they're and Ron V and stuff like that. So they don't have that gravitas behind them. So you'll see that a lot of those ratio variants, the RIs for Star Trek's cover price on that is, I want to say $4, and your RIs really are about $5-6 books. So they don't have that high of a buy-in on those. But the covers are really cool. So I do buy every cover for Star Trek, for Firefly. The Firefly stuff, those covers have been really cool. And the unlockable variants, the one per stores that they send out have been really cool. Variations on A and B cover art. So yeah, I do collect a lot of those strictly for the cover and to help support the book. Because I want to see more of them come out. And they're highly underrated books, in my opinion. I mean, Star Trek Year 5 has been just a fantastic read. Even Seven's Reckoning, which is about 7 of 9 on a Voyager, was a fantastic read as well. I think there's a lot of great storytelling going on in those books that get overlooked because people are looking to the A-list writers and artists at the moment. So, and maybe that's a subject for a different day. We can discuss writers and artists and things like that. But yeah, so the Jim Mormon, what do you think about trade dress versus virgins? I am a trade dress person. I don't care for the virgins. I buy them And of course, I have them available as a business. But for my personal collection, I prefer the trade dress, comic books. And this is just my personal opinion. I've got a lot of friends that are strictly virgin buyers. Um, but comic books to me are an art form. Those covers are fine art, in my opinion, and really just are not the same without the title or the splash page or even the barcode in some cases, or the 1980s Spider-Man head in the barcode box, things like that. That all makes up the total aesthetic of of the book to me. So without that, it's just a picture to me. We used to buy those as art prints back in the 80s, and maybe that's why I just look at those differently. Minky Woodcock. Now that is a fantastic book. And so Minky Woodcock, the girl who electrified Tesla, was a great read. And apparently, they're making a whole Minky Woodcock run. So you've got the Tesla one. I think they're doing a Ford one. I don't know if they're doing an Edison one or not. But they're going to go with different characters in history and throw Minky Woodcock into the mix, and that's super cool. Let's see. Oh yes, the Iwo Jima cover. That one's really cool. The Harry Mudd cover, I think it's issue number 3. Super cool. Um, they're a lot of their RIs, the early RIs, are propaganda posters. And you got Spock up there on a propaganda poster. Very cool stuff. Yes, Minky Woodcock is still going on. Very cool. TM, you hurt me right here, man. If you're not a fan of Star Trek, you're missing out. Star Trek has just some fantastic storytelling, and I would think that somebody like you that's so into like Transformers and that more sci-fi edgy type stuff, that like some of the Star Trek stuff would be right up your alley. The Year 5 has been just a real edgy, fantastic storytelling, and maybe worth looking into. I did not know that. That's interesting. All right. So may have been a little less prepared than I thought. I thought this was going to take a little bit longer. I appreciate everybody showing up. I think in conclusion, when it comes to ratio variants, there are many different reasons that you buy them. You can get your ratio covers simply for the cover by the aesthetic, and that's really why I do it. For my personal collection, they do hold value above and beyond what an A cover will, but that value isn't always in ratio with what that book is. I I don't. I enjoy ratio covers, so I'm going to keep buying them. I'm glad that they're there, that artwork's available. I do think that it's a sad situation where comic book creators and these companies have to produce all these gimmicks in order to sell books and make a living. Um, but that's the world we live in. So I'd say if you like that artwork, embrace it. Make sure you're aware of what's out there. Watch watch Bueller when he does his new comic book day video. Watch our FOC video for the best information. A lot of stores will give you a price break if you contact them before FOC to get these variants. So just remember that. All right. So I'm going to call it at 25 minutes and get to work. I've got quite a bit of work piling up over here. Didn't do much over the weekend. And remember, I've got FOC video coming out tomorrow. Let you know what books to get from your comic book shop. We've got New Comic Book Day live Wednesday from from Black Hat Comics here in Salt Lake, and then Thursday we've got the open mic show. We also are going to be looking at adding a couple more people to do lives on Monday so we can keep the conversation going. I'm going to reach out and talk to a couple gentlemen that I spoke to in the past week. A couple of you are in the chat, and we hope to continue the conversation, make this a Monday morning thing where we can follow a couple people and get some information out there. So next week, I think I will. I'll do an informative show about writers and artists, maybe some stuff from the past, some of those early 90s image artists and big books that came out of that area. Very cool. Yeah, we've got, of course, Bleak Haven. You guys have heard me talk about Bleak Haven. I really dig the book. We got some sent up to TM and a couple other people in the community. I got some going out to Fable, and we will give you some more information about that project. I think that the community is going to be super excited, something you can get behind. So, all right. With that being said, I am going to cut out of here, get some work done, and until next time, traders.